Hey everyone, what's going on? Rudy here with the Retro Universe. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Nintendo Game Boy along with the Game Boy Pocket. I'm going to show you my handhelds along with some of the games I've collected for this system in this video. So go ahead and sit back and enjoy the video.
They said it wasn't humanly possible. All the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy. It's portable, it's in stereo, and its games are interchangeable. Game Boy comes complete with batteries and the outrageous new game Tetris. And for head-to-head competition, use Video Link and blow your opponent away. Game Boy, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power, portable power.
So we're going to start here with the Nintendo Game Boy case that I have for it. This is a fairly old case, so it has stood the test of time. I want to say at least 25 or so years old. But it's where I keep my Game Boy, along with some of its games. So let's open her up and check out the console. So we'll get to the games in just a minute here. Let's go ahead and start with the handheld itself. Now this is the Nintendo Game Boy that came out back in 1989. Also known as a DMG Game Boy for its dot matrix display. So it is a rather ugly display now by today's standards. 4 shades of green, gray, I guess. But it was great at its time, and you know what? Every now and again, I still do like to play on the original system. But I do have preferred handhelds that I play some of these games on now. But yeah, this is, this is how you got your iPhone cases that some people rock and stuff. So this, you got your D-pad, your B&A, your start and select, your on and off switch on the top. And then on the side here, we got the link cable connection for multiplayer gaming, a contrast that you can adjust because the lighting on this thing was sometimes horrible, where you had to find a good spot to light up the screen, as it does not have a backlight or front light on it. So many a nights trying to find a spot to play, and it does use 4 AA batteries. So the battery life, I believe, was about maybe 6 to 10 hours or so. It did vary a little bit, but that would be what you would get about from 4 AA batteries. You got your volume here, your DC jack if you wanted to plug in directly to the wall, save some batteries, and also your headphone jack. So the thing with the speaker, it only is mono, so it only produces mono sound. If you were to plug in headphones into the headphone jack, you would get stereo. So Tetris in stereo, definitely awesome to hear. But yeah, that is the original system. I got mine maybe about 2.5 years ago or so, and I've had it ever since. And like I said, I do play it occasionally, but I do have a preferred handheld that I play all these games on now, which we will get to shortly. Now I also do have this box that I got on eBay. It was about $2 to $3 or so. I am housing another original Game Boy in here. It does need some work, and as you can tell by the coloring on it, it is definitely more dirty. So a lot of work still needs to be done to that one that I will eventually get to, but for now I just keep it in the box. And yeah, as you can see, the color on it is definitely off. So put that back in here. Just use it for a little display purpose, the box. I know it's not the original box for it, but again, I got it on eBay for like $2 to $3. So it was cool. Cool little box to have for it. So we'll put that over there. Now let's get to the games that I have. Now I do have some more games that I won't show on here that I want to show in a separate video, just because they play better for that. But all of these here are for the original Nintendo Game Boy and Game Boy Pocket. So we're going to start here with one of the great titles, and it was also a launch title. This is Super Mario Land. Now this was not designed by Shigeru Miyamoto, one of the designers for the original Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda, all that great stuff. So this was designed by someone else. So the gameplay is a little different. It's a little off. Mario does not look the greatest, and the jumping feels a little weird, but still a great classic to have. Definitely a good game to have for your collection. I still do like playing it. It's fun. Make sure to have that. The next thing we're going to go ahead and show here, golf. What more is there to say? It's a golf game for the Game Boy. Very basic. then we'll go ahead and jump over here to Super Mario Land 2. Now this game is fantastic. This is a fantastic game to play. They got the Mario design looking much more like Mario. The platforming feels much better. And the introduction of the bunny ears, which lets Mario fly. It's pretty cool. One of my favorite games. I do like to play this one still from time to time. If you are collecting for the Game Boy, definitely make sure to have this game in your collection. A fun little puzzle game that I like to have on here is going to be Yoshi's Cookie. This game is fun. Very basic puzzle game. It does get challenging the further you go into the game. But it's a fun game to play for 5 to 10 minutes if you're, got 5 or 10 minutes to spare. Then Tamagotchi. So if you grew up in the 90s, you more than likely had a Tamagotchi. I used to put so many hours into this game back when I was a kid. Now, not so much. So this does not have a internal clock where you can turn off the system and your Tamagotchi still grows. No, you had to have the system on the whole time. So now I don't really see myself leaving my Game Boy on to watch a Tamagotchi grow. But back in the day, this was fun nonetheless. God, I don't even remember how much time I spent into this game when I was a kid. But a great little game. It's worth like probably $3 or $5 on eBay. If you're a Tamagotchi fan, though, definitely make sure to pick it up because it does have that nostalgia factor. Another game that I actually put in quite a bit of time in is tennis. Basic tennis game. Fun as heck, for sure. But yeah, it's just tennis. Mario is the referee, and that's about it. Tennis games. What more is there really to say, I guess? But yeah, that is another great game to have. Also a launch title. One game that took me a while to really get into was Metroid 2. Now this is a follow-up to Metroid for the NES. I never played the original Metroid. I never played Super Metroid growing up, so I didn't have a nostalgia for it. But I heard so many great things about this title, I went ahead and picked it up. It's a great game. It's very hard to jump back into if you leave it for a week or two or a month or so, because then you forget what you were doing. But it is still a great game to have. So if you are collecting and you are a super fan of the Metroid series, make sure to pick this up. It is great. So the next title I have right here is part of the Super Mario Land series. Now in Super Mario Land 2, it was the first introduction to Wario, one of Mario's nemesis. So when they came out with the third one, which is called Super Mario Land 3, they named it Wario Land. So you play as Wario. Super fun game to play as Wario. He's actually pretty hilarious, and some of his power-ups that he has are pretty great. Definitely different from your typical Mario games. So if you like Mario but want to change it up a bit, check out the Wario Land series. I put about 3 of those out on the Game Boy. Donkey Kong 94. God, I love this game. So Donkey Kong 94, which is called that because it came out in 1994, has the 4 original levels for Donkey Kong, but then adds a whole mess of levels to the game. So there's a bunch of other additional levels that you can play through. And I've put quite a bit of time in this one. Another fun game to play for 5, 10, 15 minutes or so. And then you just hop back out, and it does save your progress, which is always a plus. Now over here, a very basic racing game, F1 Race. Probably, I want to say a launch title. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But just a simple racing game. It came with the 4-player link cable adapter, which I'll show a little bit later. But yeah, just a racing game. What can you say? And the final title I want to show here is going to be The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Now, this game is fantastic. I love this game so much. I enjoy the gameplay of it and the design. They seem to pull a lot from Link to the Past, which is one of my favorite Legend of Zelda games. So Link's Awakening is great if you want to pick it up. They do have a DX version, which adds an additional dungeon and is more designed for the Game Boy Color, as they added all the color into the game, where this one is black and white or green and green, depending on what handheld you're playing. So yeah, so those are some of the games I have. Whoa, what am I talking about? Hang on. Tetris was sitting all the way over there on the side. Tetris is a fantastic game. It came bundled in with the original Game Boy back if you bought it when it first came out. Simple, fun puzzle game. I mean, there's not much to say about Tetris. It's Tetris. Fun game. Make sure to get it. You can put in 30 minutes into this or 5 minutes and you still have fun. It's still an amazing game to play. So Tetris is awesome. Definitely find it anywhere because it's probably like worth $1 because so many of those came out. Now here are some of the accessories for the original Game Boy. I have this F1 race bundle that came with the game along with the 4-player adapter. So the only downside to this adapter, as you can see, I've never even used, but I got it fairly cheap on eBay, so I decided to grab it, is that the cable that you use for it is only available to be used on the original Game Boy. So later revisions of the Game Boy used a smaller link cable connection, so you have to have an original Game Boy if you want to use this adapter. If you have 4 people with Game Boy Pockets or Game Boy Colors, this adapter does nothing for you. So that is kind of a bummer. You can always plug in the adapters for the other handhelds on the other ones, but you need an original Game Boy to use this. So that was kind of a bummer. Again, probably never ever going to use that thing, but still a cool thing to have. Now, one of the more ridiculous accessories that came out for the original Game Boy is this, the Handy Boy. Ridiculous name, I know. But this thing, now I don't have the complete set for it, but this alone in itself is ridiculous. So the Handy Boy was an addition you can have for your original Game Boy that added a few features. So let's start off by showing how to put this in. Okay, so it just slides in, clicks in, and then it's in place. Doesn't that look portable? Man, throw that in your pocket, right? So let's go ahead and open up this bad boy. So as you can see, you got 2 speakers here. When you have them plugged into the speaker jack, it converts your sound into stereo. Same way it would be as if you had headphones in. Now it currently doesn't work because I don't have the additional piece that actually powers this, but it also had a magnifying glass so that you can see a more enhanced, I guess, version of your screen, and it would also light up so you can see it at night. Now it would use a connector that would connect down to the battery area to give it power, which just drains your power even more, so it's kind of unfortunate that it didn't have its own battery compartment like some other accessories. But yeah, this was one of the first, hey, you know, you want stereo sound, you want a bigger screen, oh, you want to play in the dark too? How about we do it all in one? So yeah, ridiculous accessory. I've never used it. Again, I don't have all the parts for it. I think even if I did, I wouldn't use it. So here we have the Super Zoom, which is my favorite accessory for the original Game Boy. It still adds some bulk to it, but to be honest, it's not as bad as the Handy Boy is, to where it looks like you've just put your Game Boy inside of a mech suit. So this one is much more portable, and it uses its own batteries. I believe it uses 2 AA batteries on it. And it just clips on the top like this, uses 2 connections at the back, and then you're plugged in. So it's a little better, I guess. Let's go ahead and pop in Tetris here. Fire it up. Okay, and now I'm not sure how well this is going to play in the light here, but let's go ahead and see. Okay, yeah, not sure how well it's played. Let me see if I can turn off this light here. Let's go ahead and turn this on first. Get your light on. As you can see, the 2 little lights right there reflecting off the glass of the Game Boy. Let's turn that off. So yeah, again, it's still kind of daylight here, so it doesn't show that much, but if you turn it off, yep, there's your difference. So yes, you got to deal with 2 little LEDs, you know, pointing back at you, but hey, you can play at night, which when you're a kid and you had one of these, you really wanted to do that in your room, in the dark, at night. I don't know, but it's probably my favorite accessory for it. So next, a few years later, the Game Boy Pocket came out. I believe it was 1996. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was 96. Hey, I don't do a lot of research here. I'm just going off of my memory, so don't hate me. But here is the Game Boy Pocket. Look at that. That size difference is ridiculous. So they also removed the pea green display in favor of a standard black and white display. Fortunately, they still do not have a backlight or a front light on it, so you did still have to rely on some source of external light in order to play your games. Let's get that back on. Whoops. Okay, so as you can see, it's a much smaller system. It only uses 2 AAA batteries versus the 4 AA, and I believe the battery life was expanded maybe like 10-15 hours or so. And then you had a smaller link cable connector here, like I mentioned earlier. You had your contrast and your volume. Same button layout, but definitely a nicer, compact Game Boy. So this is actually my favorite Game Boy that I like to play on, even though I do have a Game Boy Color as well. This is still the best one for it. I just like the size of it, the portability of it. It's something that I enjoy. I know, I'm weird. I do have other Game Boys. I have backlit Game Boys that I can play on, but there's something about this original Game Boy Pocket that I still really enjoy. Maybe because it was the first one that I actually had growing up. I had the yellow one. So there's probably some nostalgia there. There's your size differences. The screen is slightly a little bit larger as well. And it still does use mono sound from the single speaker. Now the only accessory I can find for it at the moment, I do have another one, is the worm light. For those of you that don't know the worm light, it was probably one of the more popular accessories that they had just because it was a small little attachment. But as you can see, that bulbous light on the display did not make it fun to play sometimes because it was just glaring back at you. But if you fiddled with it and put it in a correct angle, you'd be able to see the game just fine. And yeah, those were the struggles back in the day when you didn't have backlight devices. But yeah, guys, that is my video for the Game Boy and Game Boy Pocket. If you like this video, please make sure to leave a comment on the bottom. Anything you think I should change or any kind of video you want to see in the future. I do have some other videos in mind that I want to go ahead and do for the Game Boy Color, Sega Game Gear, stuff like that. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe. And that is going to do it for me today. Thank you for watching, and you have a wonderful day. Take care.